Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Friday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Wrapping up a work week, Mr. Hill. How are you?
I'm doing solid, man. Ready to eat some king cake and enjoy Mardi Gras weekend, baby.
Well, carnival season. Lots going on in South Louisiana. Hope you make it a safe and happy one. A lot of sports to get to as well. Tigers on the hardwood at home Saturday night, 7:30 tip-off against Missouri. We'll talk about that coming up in the next segment. Baseball, 4 games this weekend. They're starting up at the box right now, Towson and Southern over there across the street as we speak, and then LSU will be out there this evening. We'll talk about the SEC basketball slate that is to come. Glenn West is going to join us at 1:15, covers the LSU baseball team as well as basketball. Going to have Will Wade in about 15 minutes. He will speak with the media, and then we'll hear from Glenn in the second hour. And then Mitchell Forty at 1:30. He covers Missouri for the Rivals Network, and we'll talk about this bad Missouri team that is coming to Baton Rouge tomorrow. LSU got to get that one. But we'll get to that here in a moment. But I wanted to start the show today. You got a little opportunity earlier this week. Got a phone call from an old friend, old coach, said, hey, need a little help. And so you went over and chatted with the running backs this week for Coach Frank Wilson, who was obviously your running back here in Baton Rouge. What did he do? Just give you a call, and I just want to know kind of how that went, what he asked you to do.
Yeah, it was funny, actually. I ran into him at dinner the week before, getting a nice little steak dinner, and he was at the same restaurant as me, and I hadn't seen him since he took the job at LSU, so it was great to kind of see his face again and just catch up with him. And he was like, you know what, why don't you just come down to the old football house and have a little chat with the running backs? And that's what I did. It was a great experience for me. I think now with the current dynamic of college football, with the transfer portal and all these things, it's just totally different from when the time I played. And I think he wanted to kind of instill that into them that, you know, a guy like myself who was 6 on the depth chart with guys like Alfred Blue, Spencer Ware, Michael Ford, Kenny Hilliard, guys who had a ton of success at the college level. I was behind all those guys. I could have, you know, powdered my head and, you know, packed my bag and got out of town. But, you know, it's about fighting. It's about, you know, getting better every single day. And I think that's kind of the message that I kind of wanted to give to them and just kind of open the floor for them next, whatever questions they want to ask of me.
I want to get to kind of what went on there, but there's such an interesting line, and I think more so than ever, between coaching somebody hard and the discipline that goes into that, and then the commitment from the player and wanting to stick it out and all that stuff you're talking about, and then the opportunity that may be elsewhere that may be a better fit, or it may be quitting. I think most of the time things get lumped into it's just a quitting situation. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you just punt on competition. I mean, look, I don't know every single bit of circumstance, but I'm not sure that Tate Martell was looking at a much better situation anywhere he went. He transferred 3 times. It seemed every time he was looking for playing time that wasn't there. But with, you know, Joe Burrow, wasn't going to get a chance to play, and there was an opportunity to play at a high level, and that was obviously a great opportunity for him. It's every situation's a little bit different, but do you think that it changes the way that coaches have to coach? Because you still have to be tough and a disciplinarian and hold people accountable, but you also do kind of have to cater, because you tick somebody off, like they could bounce. That sounds awful, but it's the reality.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, and I think these coaches are trying to adapt and figure it out. They're doing it on the fly. It's not like they got 2 years to prepare for this thing. It's kind of just happened overnight, and you got to adjust to it. But I think for me, if I was in those coaches' shoes, I wouldn't change anything about what I'm doing. You want guys in there that wants to be there first, and then you want guys that fit your program. If you coach a certain way, if you run your offense a certain way, you got to stick to that, because when you bend to this player and then you bend to that player, then it's just too much bending going on, and guys feel like they're running the show. So I think coaches have to be stern in their approach of how they get these players better every day, hold them accountable. And if you don't want to be part of that, then I think probably that school isn't the place for you to be.
I mean, there are a lot of half-truths and a lot of outright lies that are probably told in recruiting on both sides, from players to coaches, from coaches to players. That's just the nature of those conversations when there are so many different variables. But I think if I'm a coach, my message is going to be, I know John Calipari's been doing this for a long, long time. This was not new to him, but basically you have to tell these people and set the tone in the recruiting process of, hey, I'm not guaranteeing you squat. And if that turns a guy off and he wants to go elsewhere, you may have solved a problem. You have to say, look, I think you're pretty good. Do I think you're as good as the guys I've got right now? No, I don't. I think you could be, but you're going to have to come here and prove it. And if you do, there's a lot of fruit that can be born on the other side of it. I just think that's got to be kind of your message at this point, as opposed to, come here, I got starting time for you, be an All-American, you're going to be out of here in 3 years. Like, you start to recruit that way, which is a pretty good pitch, or was at some point, and I think that was a pitch for LSU, quite honestly, based on some of the decision-making processes that were going on when you were there, and guys that were leaving that weren't drafted or were seventh-rounders or were washed out real quick. It was like, 3 years, I'm out of here. I think you just have to change your recruiting message, or that's just my peanut gallery take.
No, you 100% do. And I think for me, especially as a recruit, you get in the offer is everything you need to know right there. If they're that interested in you to recruit you, call you all the time, get you on campus visiting, get you on official visits, that should be everything you need right there. And it's an opportunity. And that's really all it is. I think a lot of times these players, and I went through it myself, you feel a little bit entitled. Like, man, I'm doing these numbers in high school football. You haven't done anything at the next level of those. You got to earn all those things. And I think that's something that these kids have to realize, that especially when you get to a program that's done the amount of winning that LSU does. There's a level of standard that you have to do. And I think that's kind of gotten lost a little bit in the past 2 seasons, with guys feeling a little bit entitled, which is understandable when you go 15-0 and win a championship. Some of those things are going to seep in. But I think now just kind of getting all that changed out, letting these guys know, look, no one cares that you have that tiger on the side of your helmet. They're going to kick your butt out there on Saturdays if you don't come correct. And just getting that winning mentality back, and that starts every day. As cliche as it is, right now in February, when the season's so far away, you got to put those building blocks on the ground so you can have a strong foundation when the season rolls around. What
was your sense from the running back room when you were in there?
Yeah, those guys are very receptive. A lot of young guys in there, not a lot of guys in there who hasn't played a ton of college football. Some freshmen in there. Kane hasn't got there yet. He still has to finish some stuff up at Penn State, but everyone else was there. And just talking to those guys, I think those guys are hungry, man. I think especially if you get that offensive line figured out, there's a lot of talent in that room, young and old. So I just hope they kind of listen to Coach Frank. He's coached a lot of professional running backs. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He's got to set them up for success. So if they just do that and work every day, that they're going to put themselves in position to make a lot of plays next fall.
He can say that until the cows come home, and it's true. I've coached at this level. I know what it takes to handle multiple great running backs. I know how to win. Like, all that works. But I think it's just a different message when it comes from you as the guy who sat in that chair that you're sitting in. Did you feel that they were receptive to what you were talking about?
Oh, yeah. Definitely receptive to what I was talking about. All the questions they were asking, like, man, how is it having all those guys in the same room? Because, jeez, don't want to do that. But no, they were talking about just all the guys in the room. And I think that's how I started my whole speech to them, is that when I got to LSU, every running back that was on the roster in front of me, they played in the NFL in some capacity. If it was 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons, Alfred Blue played in the NFL. Kenny Hilliard played in the NFL. Terrence McGee got some snaps in the NFL. Spencer Ware did. Michael Ford did. These are all the guys in the room that we're going out there to practice field every single day. We're doing spring football. We're doing summer workouts. So that level of competition, it permeates throughout the room. And so, every time you go out there to the practice field, you got to bring it. If you're slacking, guess what? Those carries aren't going to come around. You're not just going to be given anything. You got to earn it. And I think right now with the current landscape, guys just feel like, man, like, if I'm not getting my carries, I'm just going to leave. And you can do that. I mean, you can. We've seen guys do it before, but more times than not, I'm starting to see it doesn't work out that way. There's some couple guys that have left LSU, and they hadn't had the success that you would probably want to have. So sometimes sticking it out may be the best thing. There's no right answer. Sometimes it is the right decision to leave. But I think just getting those guys to understand it's okay to compete. It's okay to not be the number 1 starter day one. It's okay for some of these things to happen. Sometimes it takes a little longer. But if they can realize that, I think it'll help them in the long run.
Let me go through that room real quick and just kind of point something out that's occurred to me as I was thinking about this. John Emery came into LSU with Taron Davis-Price, who had already committed and was already in line. He sat really behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a year and didn't really do much of anything that year except mop-up duty. Then he's suspended for ineligible for an entire year, went to practice every day, still around the program. They say, ready to roll. Either way, he's had opportunities to bail and has not done that. Then you look at Armani Goodwin and Corey Kiner. Both guys had limited playing time last year, came in with another running back, had really talented guys ahead of them that were 2 years older than them. Both those guys are still here after a year, which a lot of people decided they were going to bail. They went through a coaching change and stayed here. Then you go to Noah Cain, who's stepping into a room that has a lot of players in it. So this is kind of a different type of room in that really all these guys had the option not to be at LSU, and they all are. I think that's a good start. Doesn't mean they're all going to be here when finals are over come May, but they're all here right now, and there's this day and age, that doesn't have to be the case.
No, it doesn't have to be at all. And I think it's become so acceptable and it's so understanding. I get it. It's going to take me a little while to understand it coming from when I played and there's no way you were leaving. But it's so acceptable now. The coaches are accepting of it. They wish you well on your way out, and it's just kind of the thing. But I think for me, just having teammates on the same accord, I don't care if you're in the same position group, just battling each other every day, trying to get better. It's just only going to up the competition level on the field. You're going to know every time you get a rep, you got to take full advantage of that opportunity. And if you don't, there's someone behind you. And I think that room, I don't know if it's as talented, but there's some talented backs in that room, and they're going to be fighting for those carries. And I'm excited to see who kind of rises to the top and kind of becomes that lead dog.
Frank's still the same old guy, or is there any difference now that he's run the show for a few years?
Oh, yeah. He's the same old guy, man. A lot of confidence, a lot of swagger, a lot of experience from recruiting to being a head coach, obviously coaching running backs, all the backs he's coached from Leonard Fournette to guys. You can go on and on, all the guys he's coached at that position. So Coach Kelly's done a tremendous job getting his staff together. I'm so proud. I got a chance to meet with Coach Kelly and a lot of the other coaches on the staff, kind of put a face to all the videos and pictures you've been seeing of these guys. So I like how they're doing it. They're changing everything that's kind of went on for the past few years. They're trying to get this thing changed around, trying to get back competitive, and I see them putting in the work.
You heard it here, folks. Jeremy met everybody on the staff, and they will all be coming on next week's show. Every single staff member Jeremy talked to, they'll be on next week's show. Specifically, Frank Wilson, who just had Jeremy do him a favor. That means favors got to come around. We got to have Frank here coming up pretty soon. We'll see. I'm just giving Jeremy a hard time. But it would be nice if we could do that. Still a ton to get to here over the next 2 hours here on Hunt and Hill. As we mentioned, Glenn West and Mitchell Forty are going to join us in the next hour back-to-back, kind of give us a look at each side of the basketball game that we will see on Saturday night. I realize the air's a little bit out of that balloon, but I still believe, based on looking at the numbers, looking at the bracketologists, all the places around that you can check this stuff out, LSU's still very squarely in the tournament. You win the ball game on Saturday night against Missouri, I think LSU's in. We will break down that matchup coming up next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
College basketball is here, and FanDuel Sportsbook has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 cash back.
That's right, and there's another deal going on that I'm going to give you to right here. NBA fans, second half of the NBA season is here. You can refer somebody into the FanDuel Sportsbook in their Give 100, Get 100 deal, and you'll get $100 in NBA store credit when you invite your friends to join America's #1 sportsbook. Share that referral link right from the Sportsbook app. Once your friend places any bet of $10 or more, you both get $100 in store credit. That's enough to get a jersey, few shirts, hat, need a Zion jersey. I think people still care about that. CJ McCollum, he could be here around a while, BI. Or if you just want to go get a Steph Curry jersey for yourself, for your kid, that can all be done on the NBA store with that $100 credit. So use the promo code 1045ESPN when you download the app, and they'll make it happen for you on the NBA store. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Referred players must wager $10 plus before the end date of the promo. Limit 5 referrals. NBA store credit is online only and in lieu of any other site credit award. For participation in any Refer a Friend program, restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Dad! Kids have staked out their place at Ochsner Medical Complex The Grove, where more than 30 pediatricians and pediatric specialists are all conveniently located under one roof, so you can spend less time driving and more time keeping your kids well. Yes! It's no wonder kids call dibs at The Grove. Ochsner Health Center for Children. Dibs! Kids have staked out their place at Ochsner Medical Complex The Grove, where more than 30 pediatricians and pediatric specialists are all conveniently located under one roof, so you can spend less time driving and more time keeping your kids well. Yes! It's no wonder kids call dibs at The Grove. Ochsner Health Center for Children.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new 2021 Ford F-150. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field on a Friday, Hunt and Hill. Last week, I kind of looked at the totality of LSU's body of work. It's difficult because there's with Pinson, without Pinson. It's just a little bit of a different dynamic. But I do think, based on watching this team for as long as we had, the best matchup for LSU is a team that struggles on offense, because LSU will choke the life out of them more often than not. Now, I said that. Ole Miss is terrible on offense, and they went nuts. So it doesn't hold true all the time. But I do believe that to be the case. So that's LSU's strength on an opponent's weakness, is LSU's best matchup. You say, well, that's obvious. Well, I think the opposite was true last year. I think LSU had the best chance on a team that hung its hat on defense, because LSU was going to score no matter what. And that was more often than not the case against the better defensive teams in the league. So it's a switch from last year, in my opinion. And so this, to me, tomorrow night is a very good matchup, because Missouri is awful on the offensive end of the floor. We're talking about a Missouri team here that is 10-18 on the season. They are 4-11 in SEC play. They have lost 9 of their last 11 games, and 3 of their last 4 contests they have lost by exactly 19 points, which is not competitive. Listen to some of these scoring outputs in SEC play. They scored 43 on Arkansas. They scored 54 on Auburn. They scored 50 on Iowa State, 57 on Arkansas, 49 on Mississippi State. In SEC play, they averaged 64 points per game. It feels to me like if LSU comes to play tomorrow night, and hopefully there's a reasonable atmosphere there on a Friday night, that they should be able to hold Missouri around 60 points, is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's just not a very explosive offense. Their guards do not shoot the ball well. Pickett, Davis, those guys both shoot 25 and 26% from three. They both average less than 10 points a game. So you would think that with the guards that LSU should dominate them on the outside with Murray and Pinson and Gaines and some of these guys and Mwani. They should be able to suffocate those guys. If you're not hitting threes on LSU from the outside, they're going to rotate. They're going to switch. They're going to make it very, very difficult for you to score the basketball. And I think this kind of goes right into their game plan. This Missouri team just not very explosive on offense. So you would think that LSU should be able to, handle this, especially early on. They've been playing well in the first halves. You do that against this team, you should be cruising in the second half to a victory.
Let me give you some numbers here to spell out how bad this Missouri offense has been. Their offensive efficiency in college basketball is 305th. That is the worst in the SEC. Points per game, they are 314th in scoring. In three-point shooting, there are 358 college basketball teams. They are 353rd. There are 5 worse than them shooting the three ball. They also turn it over a ton, 319th in turnovers per possession. Now, I've made a big deal over the last couple of weeks about how, hey, stop helping so hard off these three-point shooters and giving them looks. In this case, the exact opposite. Cut off every drive and make them kick it out. If they want to sit out there and jack threes all night, that's fine. They'll make a couple. They won't make enough to sustain. They may make 3 in a row. They're not going to make 14 or 15 in the game. They're just not. So that cut everything off. And the other issue for when Missouri's on offense is really my only concern in this game is Kobe Brown. Mm-hmm. Kobe Brown is 6'8", 250 pounds on the block. He scores 11 points and grabs 7 rebounds a game as a junior. He scored 30 on Alabama. He scored 21 on A&M. Both of those games, he made double-digit free throws. Mm-hmm. So LSU's going to send a double to him every time he touches, I'm sure. They're not going to let Efton play him straight up. They're not going to let Fudge play him straight up. They don't want Eason playing him straight up. They're going to send doubles to him every time he touches it and hope that the ball goes out to the guards and they have to shoot a three. But my concern is, like early in the game with Shibwe, they just throw it in there and LSU gets fouls. And then you send guys to the bench, you get in deep into your rotation, they get into the bonus. That's really the only concern I have in this game.
Yeah, and I think this goes in line with what I think we said earlier this week at the 5 spot, at the big spot. You feel like the other team has that matchup. You feel like that they have the better big, who's going to be more dominant, who does more things well. I wish I would have saw a 30-point performance from Efton Reed this season. I think I'll be waiting for that for a long time. So we've seen this Missouri team. They've not played well, but they've also beat Alabama this season. So if LSU
played Auburn to the wire.
Yeah, if LSU doesn't come correct and play the brand of basketball we know they're capable of playing, this could be a close game late, and LSU in close games, especially in half-court sets, I don't love it. So you want to handle business and really put this team away and just remind them what they are in the SEC. I think you get a big lead, unlike Kentucky, who has way more firepower than them. You get a big lead on this team, you should be able to cruise to a victory.
You could probably see some poor body language from Missouri if this starts going south. I mean, you've lost 3 of your last 4 by 19 points. It's difficult. So LSU on offense, I think we start with Xavier Pinson because, 1, he's the spearhead of the offense. 2, he played for 3 years at Missouri, and you would think that there'd be a little bit of a chip on his shoulder here. I don't know what the cause of his leaving was. I don't get the sense that he's some sort of prima donna. I don't get the sense that there was some massive issue with the coaching staff. Cuonzo Martin is an intense coach. There's no doubt he's going to coach you hard. There's no question. But Will Wade does that to an extent too. I do know that X has played a little bit differently this year than he did at Missouri. Mm-hmm. He played at Missouri a lot more like he played at Kentucky, and now he had to do that on Wednesday night because he had to control everything. But he was a volume guy at Missouri. He's been more of a facilitator at LSU. But you still got to think, your old guys, your old coach, your old team, mm-hmm. He'll have a little pep in his step on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely got to have something for his former team. It's just how it goes in sports. He's got to want to play extremely well, show those guys why he decided to take his talents down to Baton Rouge. And I think for him, it's going to be a great matchup for him to get going. I think for me, he's the only hope in these half-court sets because when Xavier's out there, it just does not look good. He has the potential. He's getting back to the rim now, taking guys off the dribble, breaking people down, finding his teammates. So you're going to need his calming effect on the offensive side, especially in half-court sets. And I think he's going to be doing that at a high level against his bad Missouri team.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is not phenomenal either. Defensive efficiency, 263rd in the country. The only Georgia in the SEC is worse on defense. They allow opponents to shoot the ball well. They don't force a lot of turnovers, just 12 a game. Mm-hmm. The issue, and LSU has had such a massive problem finishing at the rim. Kentucky just made it so difficult. And Missouri has the ability to do a little bit of that. Brown at 6'8" and a wide body, but more so Trayvon Brazile, who is their freshman big. He's 6'9", 215. He's a beanpole, but he's long and he blocks a ton of shots. He's blocked multiple shots in 11 SEC games. So while I know it frustrates people to watch LSU bombs away from 3 when they're not been a very good three-point shooting team, they're not good at driving to the basket either. So it's like it's tough to find a real strength that you gotta go to when things are tough. But Missouri can make things a little more difficult at the rim. So that is a little bit of a concern for me on the offensive end.
Yeah, it is a concern. I think we've talked about it all season long, just having that guy on offense that is a bucket getter, a guy that, in tight situations, other teams on an 8-0 run or a 7-0 run, like, all right, let's get a basket here. It's tough to point to that guy. I know Days isn't afraid to shoot it. He'll shoot it from the outside. I know Gaines and Pinson will take it to the rim, but having efficient scorers who can score timely again. I think this game is a Tari Eason game. I think
he needs to show up after Wednesday. That was disappointing. I kind of jumped him on Wednesday on the podcast, and here he needs to bounce back. This team's not very good without him.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, they need him. They need that guy, that scorer that's coming off the bench. When he's playing well off the bench and he's forcing the other team in the bonus and getting guys in foul trouble and attacking the basket and not being discouraged if his shots block, it makes his team so much better because the guards are going to put pressure on you. They're going to trap. You're going to get turnovers. You're going to get fast break opportunities. It's just, can you score in the half court set, and can you really try to keep these teams from really scoring the amount they do in the second half? I think if you can figure that out, this should be a easy win for the Tigers, especially at home with this bad team who's lost a lot of just really bad games in the SEC.
Kobe Brown averages about 4 fouls a game in SEC play. I am identifying who he's guarding early in this game at 6'8", 250 pounds, and that guy is getting the basketball a couple times. Now, they may put him on Efton, and I know that that's not a great one-on-one matchup for LSU, but I'm still going to go to it. Not every time, but enough to where he's got to play some defense, because when Kobe Brown goes to the bench, this Missouri team is feckless on offense. Like, they don't have – they got some guards that can drive every once in a while, but I rattled the point totals off to you. They score in the 40s every once in a while in SEC play. Yeah. If you can get Kobe Brown to the bench, that's my goal. And we saw what that meant to LSU when Oscar Tshiebwe went to the bench in Baton Rouge. We know what that can do. That's a huge part of the game plan for me. Get Kobe Brown on the bench.
Yeah, I think so. I think getting their bigs on the bench, because now your guards have that open lane to the basket, and they don't have to worry about getting their shot blocked or getting their shot altered. Get him out the game, and then let Tari Eason, let Days, let some of these guys pound the offensive glass. I think that's where you start seeing some of the half-court successes. Not guys really making tough shots or mid-range shots or anything like that. They're getting rebounds, and they're going back up. And with Brown, a guy who averages 8 rebounds a game, him out of the picture, that opens that up at a high level. And I would like to see Days more on the block. I think when he has the most touch – he has the most touch when he's shooting those little running hooks that we see Afton Reed try to shoot, but Days can actually make those. And when he has a smaller guy on him, instead of him shooting 10 threes, how about we shoot 10 of those a game and start shooting a high percentage? And I think that can kind of be some of the half-court stuff you can work in if you're Coach Wade.
I don't disagree with that at all. And then the last note here that should make you feel pretty warm and fuzzy inside, Missouri on offense in terms of turnovers per possession, 319th in the country. That is way towards the back end. Good news for LSU with that pressure man-to-man defense. Got to get after them. These are some of the stats. This isn't even numbers. It runs through statistics that Missouri is in the 300s in the country in offensive efficiency, points per game, turnovers per possession, and then 3-point shooting. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, they're bad. They shoot 27% from three as a team, which isn't very good. All of their guards shoot.
There's 5 teams worse. It's as bad as it gets.
Yeah, they're bad. And then also that from a field goal percentage, they shoot 42%. So they don't shoot the ball well at all. You would think that, LSU with the defense that they play, and also a team that averages 14 turnovers a game, this is a kind of a recipe for success right here. This is right. This is exactly what you need. You got to win this one. If you lose this one, then now – things are going to get a little wacky down here in Baton Rouge. But if you can win this one, get some confidence, I think that locks you into the NCAA tournament. Now you can start feeling good, and then maybe you can steal one of these games on the stretch.
That's kind of the point. I do. I've said it all week. You echo it. I think if they win on Saturday, they're in the NCAA tournament, and that is still. It's not cause for celebration. It's cause for positive outlook. I'll say it's cause for a positive thing. As I said yesterday, I've been following this team for 22 years, and they're usually not in the tournament. Usually not. And Will Wade gets there every year. And so that's good. They need to make the next step. And it doesn't appear to me that this team's going to do it. And that's very disappointing. But I still think that there is cause for positive outlook when you can make the NCAA tournament. I think tomorrow locks them in with their 8th conference win. So we'll see. It'll be a 7:30 tip, and it certainly, if nothing else, inches you closer to the NCAA tournament, and that'll be fun when the music plays on CBS and you take the floor. And that's something that we look forward to every year, and more often than not hasn't happened, but it's got a real good chance of happening if they can win on Saturday night. So hopefully if you do have tickets, you're going to come out to the PMAC at 7:30. If you have them and don't want to go because you've lost interest in this team, hey, give them to somebody who might. I'd like to see a nice environment in there on Saturday. My dad's coming in town. We got the baptism for the Myers band tomorrow, and then we're heading out to the PMAC to watch some basketball. So very excited to get out there and see this team, and hopefully they can put one to bed pretty early, have a comfortable win, and move to the last week of the regular season. We are pushing towards March Madness very, very quickly. LSU and Missouri at 7:30 on Saturday night. We will talk to Mitchell Forty about Missouri here in the second hour. He is going to be at 1:30. Just kind of talk about the state of Missouri and really how close to the hot seat Konzo Martin is. I have a feeling he's firmly on it, but I'd like to hear that from somebody who's actually paying attention a little bit closer than I am. So Mitchell Forty at 1:30, Glenn West at 1:15, talking baseball, as well as what Will Wade has to say right this very second as he just met with the media over there across the street. Stick with us. It's Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never.
Canterbury here. Join Tommy Chrysan, Skip Bourbon, and myself for Hold the Rope with Skip and Keno this Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. when our guests will be John Brady from LSU Basketball and Ken Trahan from Crescent City Sports. Hold the Rope, Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tigers back in action at the box this evening, 6:30 against Towson. Towson and Southern just cranking up over at the box right now, so they are fired up. Southern and LSU tomorrow at 1:30, and then a game change time on Sunday. If you're planning on going out to the box on Sunday, they have changed the time of the game. That first game against Towson was supposed to start, I believe, at 1. They have moved it to 11 o'clock in the morning to try to beat a little bit of weather over there. And so the game with Southern still on for 5 o'clock on Sunday. We'll see if Mother Nature allows that to go on. But 4 games for LSU this weekend, and really just a chance to get back out there and keep getting some work. A lot of innings to be pitched and a lot of swings to be had, a lot of players to be given some opportunities. And so that's really what this is about. Quite honestly, this non-conference schedule outside of the trip to Houston next weekend is awful. Mm-hmm. It's just the trip to Ruston was a good one in theory until it was 38 degrees and raining. I guess you got something out of it, but it's just not even a real contest in my opinion. Credit to Tech. 100% deserved to win. Handle the elements way better than LSU. Just don't really care what your baseball team looks like when it's 35 degrees and raining hard. But this is another one where these two teams aren't very good. Towson went to Miami last weekend and got it handed to them pretty good. They were competitive in a 2-run game on Friday and then got dusted by at least 8 in the last 3 games. So what I noticed about Towson, interestingly, is that in those 4 games they lost to Miami, they only made 2 errors. So it's not as if they showed up, kicked it all over the yard, couldn't catch a fly ball, couldn't field a ground ball, throwing it everywhere. No, they just got their butts kicked. They got knocked all over the place and didn't do much offensively. So not a great team. We know Southern's generally pretty overmatched when they play LSU. So to me, this is a chance to get a lot of guys some work this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be all the guys that probably didn't play much. I think he's got to be moving some guys around, especially in the outfield, kind of seeing who can play that right field position, maybe move around some guys at third base, see if you can get some production there. But I think for me, I want to see Blake Money continue to pitch the way he was. I think for me, he was the most impressive guy since his season has started. And if you can really solidify him in that Friday night role and with the stuff he's doing and his consistency throwing strikes, that to me is going to be a really soothing effect, because now you only got 2 more slots to fill in as far as a starter for the rest of the season, and I really don't have any concerns about the bats. I mean, even against La Tech in the cold, freezing rain and turf field, you still pulled off 6 runs, and that bat lineup, they're going to be there all season. I think for me, I know it's Towson, I know it's Southern, but I still want to see these guys pitch well, so that's kind of what I'll be looking for.
There are 3 stats 3 things that I will look at that have nothing to do with the opponent on the other side. Nothing. Pitchers, walks. Blake Money was sensational. Just 1 walk in his 7 innings with his 10 strikeouts last week. Keep throwing it over the plate. I want to see no walks from the starting pitching staff this week. That seems a little bit unattainable, but I want to see as few as possible on the walks. That's just throwing the ball over the plate. Errors. I think this team's going to be just fine on defense. But they were terrible on Wednesday, obviously. So clean that up. That doesn't matter who you're playing. Field the ball, make your throws, make the right play. What do the errors look like? I think they'll be a lot better. I mean, look, you heard Jay Johnson say yesterday, we're not going to have another night like that all year long where we throw it all over the place and really make what was probably more like 7 errors instead of 5. They didn't give Barry an error in the first inning. We dropped a fly ball at the track. There's a foul ball that Morgan didn't catch that it wasn't called an error. And look, Doty made 2 of those errors. He's a good defender. I don't think that's going to happen too often. But errors, clean that up. And then I want to see where he plays Jacob Berry. I'm going to imagine you're going to see him at third and in right field. I would think they're trying to find a spot for him. That's something they've got to get figured out. They're going to give him every opportunity to figure out a spot. He's never going to be a plus defender, but if he can be an adequate defender, that's what you need. And then you can build the pieces around it, whether you got to find somebody in right field, whether you got to find somebody at third base. And, hey, you may DH him a game this weekend. There are 4 of them, and you got to give some guys some looks. So I think you certainly got to get him at bats, but you certainly have to find a spot for him as well.
Yeah, it's tough because DeGiacomo, he was well at the plate, and I think he fields the ball better from the right field than Barry does. But also you got Merrifield at third, and he fields well. He's an all-time defender last season. So it's tough. I would hate to have Barry DH, especially with everything on the line for him as far as being a top draft pick. But right now, I won't put too much on that. It was one bad play at the track. It was a tough catch. I think if he can stay there, I think it helps the lineup, and then maybe you can bring in some guys to pinch run in some situations. But I think if Barry can solidify that right field position, it definitely helps Coach Jay Johnson out in figuring out this lineup and what you want to do for the rest of the season.
No word that I'm aware of on Drew Bianco just yet. That's a guy who hadn't got much of a chance yet because of the injuries that have been hampering him. I don't think you're going to see him. I don't know about Brody Dross either. He did not travel on Wednesday, so this is a pretty quick turnaround, 2 days. If you couldn't travel 2 days ago, I feel like it might be a stretch for you to play any tonight. But there are 4 games, and maybe by Sunday you can see some of that. You're going to see Alex Milazzo as well as Tyler McManus behind the plate when you got that many innings to catch. Yeah. Both of those guys are going to do it. And then I think if you find yourself in a close game, this is something that I wanted to see on Wednesday, but obviously the situation didn't dictate that it was possible because LSU was down the way they were. But if you get into a tight game at any point, I would really like to see the closing punch of Gervais, Raiselman, Fontenot. Devin's only thrown 1 inning thus far through 4 games. I think they're holding him as the closer, and there hadn't been any closer-type situations. They got him out there on Sunday for some innings, and then the opportunity didn't obviously present itself with just 8 innings to pitch on Wednesday. But that's your closer. I'd like to see those 3 guys ready to slam the door.
Yeah, it's probably not going to see that opportunity this weekend. I just think that Towson and Southern, that especially with these bad lineups, I don't think that's going to be enough for those guys. But I still want to see him out there. I want to see Raiselman back out there. I want to see Gervais out there. To me, Gervais has probably been the best I've seen so far as far as consistency goes. He's been pounding the strike zone. He looks very tall up there, 6'10", Mr. 6'11". So he's been consistent. But now just getting reining Raiselman in a little bit. Getting him a little more in the strike zone more, and I think Fontenot's going to be that closer. I agree with you there. But I don't know if those situations are going to present themselves, especially this weekend.
By the way, Towson also with a really tall pitcher, Nick Janowitz, who may start a game this weekend, 6'9", 240, so we'll see about that. Speaking of pitchers, Grant Taylor, who I have not seen a bunch of, pitched on Wednesday, and they said he was up to 97. Let's see if that can come back out this weekend and see what that looks like when it's a little bit warmer. And what he looks like. That's intriguing. Not something I thought we had in the tank. But if you got another power arm like that, that would be very, very good. And then Cale Lansville, whose line, as I mentioned on Monday, was not as bad. His outing was not as bad as the line may have indicated last weekend. He had a couple of bad breaks in the early part of that inning and then gave up 1 big swing. So I still think he's got a lot of potential in this pitching staff. It's just a continued work in progress. And this is another weekend where you got a lot of innings to play as a dress rehearsal for next weekend, which I think really does mean a lot to this team. It's certainly not the end of the world if you go over there and lose all 3 or lose 2 out of 3, but it is going to tell you kind of where LSU is at this point in the season with SEC play 2 weeks around the corner. So this is, again, not very good baseball teams coming into the box. You ought to win all 4 of these games without too much issue. But it is baseball and things happen, so got to go out there and make it happen. Certainly got a chance to get the awful taste in their mouth from Wednesday right out of it. Tonight at 6:30 at the box, Blake Money will get the start. As Jay Johnson said yesterday, nobody announced for the other 3 games in terms of starters. They're going to play it by ear, but you would imagine Mikhail Hilliard will get the ball at some point. You would imagine that at some point you would see Ty Floyd as well. Hey, Coach Kelly, maybe a couple of sliders from Ty Floyd. We'll see. We'll talk to Coach Kelly next Wednesday. I'm very, very much looking forward to see Ty Floyd spin the ball a little bit if we can this weekend. So, again, the one big note, if you're looking to go out to the box on Sunday, game time change from 1 o'clock on Sunday for the first game. That is now an 11 a.m. start with LSU and Towson on Sunday. So make sure, if you're planning to go out there, you've gotten that announcement. We will take a timeout, come back, close out hour number 1. It's a Friday edition of Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
15 minutes. I know you've got 15 minutes. That is all it takes for their free consult at Sync Wellness. Their doctor pharmacy will talk to you about your health goals and see how Sync can help you look and feel your best. They can take the guesswork out of your health and wellness plan for 2022. Their Sync packs are conveniently packaged, they're professional grade, they're customized, and they're delivered to your door based on your nutrient deficiencies as determined by a simple blood test.
Yeah, Sync has all the professional products that help you stay well and keep your immune system strong. One of their most popular items is their pharmacist-created immune pack, conveniently packaged with vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc in the doses you need to stay well. They also have their immune support IV hydration pack with vitamin C, vitamin B, and zinc. And if you're feeling too ill to walk into their suite, the registered nurses will administer your IV curbside.
Look, if you're having trouble sleeping, Sync Wellness can help. If you're having trouble with your workout performance, Sync Wellness can help. And listen, I know there are some college kids listening to this show, and I know you're headed down to New Orleans this weekend, and I know what you're going to do. If on Monday you need to get hooked up for an IB because you got a hangover, they can do that at Sync Wellness as well. SYNC, Sync Wellness at synkwellness.com.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt and Hill, the early line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You know Miller Lite only has one more calorie, right?
And more taste. Good choice.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information,
for a Friday edition of Early Line, as we look ahead to the weekend's action, and David Cobb of CBS Sports joins us to make some college basketball picks. Tune in from 2 to 3 p.m. Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Citizens Bank brings you our poll question of the day each and every day. Today is pretty easy. New Orleans Mardi Gras, overrated or underrated? Vote at 1045 ESPN on Twitter. We'll give you the results at the end of the show. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Hill?
I'm going to go. It's going to hurt some of my good folks in the 504. I'm going to pull an Eli Apple here, guys. I'm going to go overrated. I'm going to go overrated.
Now, look, sometimes you plan out the show. You got what you're going to talk about in each block. And then sometimes you learn in the commercial break that Jeremy did Mardi Gras with Johnny Manziel. And
Look,
then we have to talk about that on the air.
I gotta send this picture to Taylor. I got the picture right here. I gotta send this to somebody.
So
you want to email it to
you're
you,
telling
Taylor?
me you went to New Orleans with Johnny Manziel just after he had won the Heisman. I'm sure he was on his best behavior, no?
Oh yeah, yes. There weren't many chaperones around, so let's say we don't know if the best behavior was going on exactly. So that was a wild night.
I mean,
man.
were you like walking around St. Charles Avenue? Or you going down to Bourbon Street?
No, we were strictly only Bourbon Street the entire day and night. Like literally, we got there in the morning. We didn't leave. Obviously, we didn't go to sleep. It was a Johnny Manziel event. It was madness, and so it got so bad to the point we left out of one bar, and there was like an entourage of maybe like 100 people following us all up and down Bourbon. It was insane.
How did you know him?
No, well, we played. So we played them the year before.
Yeah,
and,
in 2012 in College Station. It was 1,000 degrees in the morning. I was there.
Yeah, so we played them before, and we were just like, he was cool with Odell, and then we just kind of kept the rapport with him. And he was like, "Yo, I'm coming down to Mardi Gras," and we were like, "All right, we'll show you around. We'll show you the ropes. We'll teach you how it's done down here in the Big Easy, baby." And that's what we did. It was a good night, good day.
Goodness gracious, Johnny Manziel. So my Mardi Gras story that did not involve a Heisman Trophy winner. We had my buddy went up to college in Virginia, and he came down for Mardi Gras and brought a couple of his friends from the East Coast down that had never been to New Orleans, period, much less Mardi Gras. And so the first day we're there, and everybody does what you do. You just have a few too many drinks, and we got a cab home, and it was a van cab. And they pulled into the house we were staying in uptown and slid the door open. And the buddy from Virginia who had 13 too many beverages opens the door, steps out of the cab, and he kind of missed the step out and just face planted into the curb and just knocked his front tooth out. I mean, cold out.
Ooh.
So we wake up on Saturday of Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and this guy has no front teeth. So we are like, how do you, there are no dentists open on Saturday of Mardi Gras, no less, in New Orleans to make this work. So we ended up driving out to like River Ridge, and he got some procedure done. I guess you call mom and dad and be like, hey, I don't have a tooth. Fill in the blank as to how you think that happened, but I don't have one. No, it was not a fist fight. I got in a fist fight with the curb. So that was just his first introduction into the Mardi Gras scene. Anybody lose any teeth on your outing with Johnny?
No, I tried to send Taylor the picture just now. It's a funny. He has it. I think he has it. Man, no one lost any teeth, but let's say some beverages were definitely taken in that weekend. I'm going to say the adult beverage. I don't know if we were 21 at the time, but yeah, there's some beverages.
Look, I think the statute of limitations is out. So it's for me. I can't. It's hard to say that Mardi Gras is underrated because it is so highly thought of. I had a ball in my college years for Mardi Gras, and have had fun going down there since. When you're not just going 9,000 miles an hour and staying up to all hours of the night, just going down there and hanging out on St. Charles, having a superior margarita, chatting with friends. The kids enjoy it. Obviously with an 8-week-old, not really in the cards for us. He's going to get baptized tomorrow instead of going out to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Yep. But I look forward to my next adventure out there. Here's a picture that came up. All right, I see it. Johnny's got 1,000 beads.
My boy Duke Riley in the picture.
Yeah, I see that. That's
Kimdichie. That's Kimdichie.
That's Robert Kimdichie?
Yeah, that's
He looks like Derry Beckwith a little bit.
Yeah, that's Denzel Kimdichie, actually. Yep.
Denzel Kimdichie.
Yeah,
all right.
Linebacker.
Sure. Yeah, I got you.
No,
I got you there. Yep. And Johnny looks like he's had a number of beads. I'm not sure how he got those. Hopefully everyone kept their outerwear on for that, but that's just kind of the way it goes. A Bourbon Street day for Mardi Gras, that's a little more than I can handle. I'm more of a St. Charles Avenue, head out to Mid-City for Indemnity and kind of a guy. The Bourbon Street gig, that'd be a lot to handle. So for those of you that are headed down to Mardi Gras this weekend in New Orleans or wherever you may be taking in the Mardi Gras festivities, Spanish Town here, or headed down to wherever, chase some chickens in Mamu, I believe, wherever you're doing that, be very careful and have a wonderful Mardi Gras. And if you have some days off next week, all the better. We certainly don't. We'll be here grinding and working as we'll be doing for the next hour here on Hunt and Hill. It's been a fun first hour. Talked a lot of basketball and baseball about what to expect this coming weekend with LSU and Missouri on the hardwood, and then, of course, at the box with LSU, Towson, and Southern playing a little round robin. Talked running backs in the first segment as Jeremy had a chance to go over there and chat with Frank Wilson and his group earlier this week. So if you missed any of that, online, 1045ESPN.com, of course, on YouTube, where you can find us each and every day. We are loaded in hour number 2. We will start the hour off talking about the SEC games that we'll see on Saturday in basketball, a couple of huge matchups in conference play that we'll talk about. And then we'll go back-to-back with beat writers from LSU and Missouri previewing Tigers and Tigers on the hardwood. Again, a 7:30 tip-off for you there from the Pete Maravich Assembly Center on Friday. And, of course, we finish up every single show with Take It or Leave It. This is no different. By the way, I'll be at Rouse's tonight or this afternoon from 3 to 5 giving out some stuff. You got that in you this afternoon? Come on by Rouse's, Burbank and Lee. I will be there. We'll be talking about it in the second hour. Come back. Hour number 2 coming at you. It's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford has 0.9% for 60 months on new Ford F-150 plus $1,000 bonus cash. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. And right now, get $1,000 bonus cash plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on new 2021 Ford F-150. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hunt and Hill. Tom Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
1 hour left in our work week here, Hunt and Hill, on a Friday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill. We basically so this is how I've always slotted the podcast, so I've kind of carried that onto the show as well. So they play on Saturday every week, so we talk about that game on Monday. And they either play Tuesday or Wednesday. If they play Tuesday, you talk about the game on Tuesday, react on Wednesday. They play Wednesday. On Tuesday, I generally do bracketology. They play on Tuesday. On Thursday, I generally do bracketology. Let's throw this in there real quick. You know they were a 6 seed going to Rupp Arena. Lost that game. Where do you think Joe Lunardi has them now?
I would say, actually, I'm gonna go wacky here. I think he has him 5.
No, didn't move him up.
Okay,
he did stay at 6, though.
Okay, yeah, I was close.
Really, I mean, for sure. I mean, I could see. I mean, if I would have asked Joe Public and maybe even myself, if I wasn't looking at the metrics all day, every day, I would go, yeah, they're probably like a 9. But they're holding strong, and this is not just Lunardi. CBS has got them at 7. The bracket matrix, which takes all of them, has them still at 6. Like, the numbers are stronger, I feel like, than the team, and that's something we've talked about with the scheduling deal. And I guess the wins against Tennessee and Florida, I mean, Tennessee and Kentucky stand pretty tall. You figure not a lot of 10 and 11 seeds have top 7, top 12 wins. So, you know, it is what it is. That's where LSU stands right now. And I think the strength of the conference bodes well for LSU. So let's talk about some of the games on the hardwood coming up on Saturday in league play before we get to 2 straight segments talking LSU and Missouri. We'll start with Glenn West here in 15 minutes, and then Mitchell Forty will have at 1:30 from the Missouri beat. The first game is Florida at Georgia. Tom Crean's stays are numbered. His stays are probably around 20 left as the head coach at Georgia, if that. So no reason to believe that Florida can't go in there and win. They are playing for their tournament lives. Certainly one they can't lose. This is one that if you lose, it's about done. You've done such goodwill beating Auburn and kind of climbing back towards the 500 mark in conference play. You can't lose to Georgia.
Yeah, is there such thing as a quad 5 team? Because I feel like Georgia.
Yeah, the teams LSU, a couple teams LSU played early on, Northwestern State being one.
Yeah, Georgia's pushing that because they're this bad. I think Coach Crean's already on the plank right now. I don't know if he's close to the edge yet, but he started that walk. That program is just. I know you lost a ton of guys to the portal, but that's just bad, man. 1-14 in SEC play. This is set up for Georgia to really, continue their terrible stretch of basketball. I think Florida, they know that they can be a tournament team now. There was a stretch in the season where I looked like they were out of it. They had no chance, but now that's really on the horizon now. So I think there's no way they slip up to this bad Georgia basketball team.
So, this next game is not interesting necessarily for this year. It's interesting for another reason if you're really into SEC basketball. Now, I realize that most of our listeners are not, but that's okay. You pay attention, you understand who the good teams are, bad teams are, whatever. But Mississippi State has just kind of middled its way during the Ben Howland era, and this would be a chance for them to get to 8-8 in the league and maybe finish strong and find yourself in the NIT to make a push. Maybe even finish and find a way in the NCAA tournament. I don't think so. You'd have to go beat Auburn and then beat A&M and do some serious work in Nashville. I doubt that's going to be the case. But to get towards 500 SEC play, I think would be a reasonable step forward for them. Vanderbilt's been terrible for like 5 years, 6 years. And Stackhouse has them playing reasonable basketball at this point. They are 6-9 in the league, could inch with a win on the road here. could get them to play in a little bit better. They play Florida, then they finish with Ole Miss. Like, they could finish close to 500, which doesn't matter for this year. But, Jerry Stackhouse was an interesting hire when they made it. And, they've had some bad luck with some of their better players getting hurt. But, you're finishing out the Scottie Pippen era here, and that could be something that kind of pushes them forward with a decent recruiting class coming in. Again, if you're not really into SEC basketball, this game does nothing for you. But it's two teams that are kind of trying to take another step, and this could be a building block for them.
Yeah, for Vanderbilt, they've been a team that's been up and down, kind of like the Saints football. There'd be some nights where they come out there and they're shooting the lights out, and they're losing by one possession to some great teams in the SEC, and then they're beating some great teams in the SEC. They're just very inconsistent, but I think with them, with some of their guard play, with Scottie Pippen Jr. and all that, you never know what you're going to get. This would be a great matchup between the guards in this game, between Iverson Molinar and Scottie Pippen Jr. I want to see who can kind of keep that scoring output going, and I think that's probably who's going to come out on top. But if I had to pick, I think I'm going to go with the home team here. I think Mississippi State does enough to win.
We've got two absolute heavyweight battles we're going to get to here, but I do want to knock a couple of these off the list here. A&M is headed to Ole Miss. It's just interesting to me what they're going to do with Kermit and Oxford, because the injuries have been so bad. And the results would tell me, you fired Andy Kennedy for much less than this. He was much better than this. But the injuries have been bad with Texas A&M. Nice start, but you're 2-9 in your last 11 conference games. And I just feel like there's not a lot of energy there in that program.
Yeah, it's tough for Ole Miss, man. They I don't know. They play like heroes against us, and then it seemed like just totally.
Sure they did. Sure they made 7 of 8 threes. Sure they did.
Yeah.
Sure they made 16 of 18 field goals over the stretch in the first half. Sure they did.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But I think for them, I think he's going to get one more chance. It's just, I don't know if they pull the plug this soon on that team. Especially for me, I think the expectations for Ole Miss basketball, it's just that they're not expecting you to go dominate Kentucky, go win and rough, go do some special things over here for this Ole Miss basketball program. So I think with that being said, I think he's going to get one more chance. If he plays like this again next year, and the team is, they're 4-12 or 4-11 in SEC play at the end of the season, I think you'll see them move on. But right now, I think they hold on to him, and I think A&M probably wins that game.
Joe Lunardi has Alabama as a 5 seed right now. And I think if they can position themselves as a 4 or a 5, they can make a run. If they stumble and they get closer to the 7 line and they have to deal with the 2 seed, that's going to be trouble for them because they don't play very good defense. The other interesting note that I got out of Tuscaloosa today via Twitter is that Nate Oates said in a press conference he thinks Javon Quinterly, Jaden Shackelford, and J.D. Davison, the entire backcourt, are all going to test the NBA waters this year. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to leave. Javonte Smart tested the NBA waters after his freshman year and came back for 2 more years. So that doesn't, but it tells me there's a chance they could lose that entire backcourt, which in Nate Oates' system is so vital when you're talking about shooting a lot of threes and getting a lot of rim runs. This may be a big opportunity for them to make a push with these guys before they're all out the door. You need to take care of your business against South Carolina.
Yeah, we saw South Carolina play well. Another team that's not very great, and they just somehow beat us. Some way they got it done, and you got to tip your cap to them. But I think for Alabama, especially at home, I don't think they're going to squander this. It's a great opportunity for them. Shackelford has it going right now. He's been probably, to me, their most consistent guard on their team all year. Quinterly, the shot comes and goes, and obviously J.D. Davison, he's more of a slasher. But with Shackelford at home, I think the Crimson Tide, they come out on top over the Gamecocks.
All right, the best 4 teams in the league are playing on Saturday. If you were not aware of that, I am really excited to see the results of these games. We'll start with the 1 o'clock game on CBS. Kentucky is going to Bud Walton. That might be the best environment in college basketball this season. I realize that's a big statement, and there are great places to watch games. But Arkansas is playing great basketball. They're excited about it. Bud Walton is a great place to play a game, and Kentucky's really, really good. Now, I said it might be the best environment. I don't know about the quality of the game. I feel confident that Kentucky has every ability to go in there and win. However, you don't have your starting backcourt. And again, there is just no reason for John Calipari to put those guys out there when they're not ready to go. And even again, a game against Arkansas that would mean a lot. Is there a massive difference in your mind between Kentucky being a 1 seed and a 2 seed? To me, it's just what color shirts you're putting on in the regional final if the 1 seed gets there or the 2 seed were to get there if you were 1. Like, it's not that big a deal.
No, it's not a world of a difference. I think especially if Kentucky, when that's for Coach Calipari, it's national championship aspirations every season. He has a different level of expectation. They expect Kentucky to be in the Final Four. They expect them, to make deep NCAA tournament runs year in and year out. So for them, they're not going to get too wrapped up about closing down the stretch in the SEC schedule for a regular season game with everything not on the line. They want those guys getting healthy for the SEC tournament and then going into the NCAA tournament. So. I think Kentucky, especially if those guards don't play, I like Arkansas at home. I think it's going to be a matchup with Jalen Williams and Oscar Tshiebwe. That's going to be a matchup right there. There's going to be some banging around and some fouling going on there, but I like Arkansas in this one.
I do too. I think the environment will be incredible, and I think Arkansas win the game. I won't put you on the air, Casey, but give me a thumbs up. Cats win or lose? Thumbs up, thumbs. Cats win, says Casey over there from behind the desk. It's going to be a war. I can't wait to get eyes on that one. And then the other two of the top four in the SEC, 3 p.m. ESPN, Auburn is going to Tennessee, a massive game. If Auburn can win this game, I think you just about lock them in on the one line. A road win over Tennessee would just be massive for them. I think they're a 1 seed anyway, but this would be the ticket. Tennessee has got to be careful about those offensive woes, but if they can get it going on offense, they can beat anybody in that building, and that's been the case all year. Arizona's a 1 seed right now. They dusted them in that building. They absolutely roasted Kentucky in that building. They are a lot, and we'll see if Auburn can stand up to that challenge.
Yeah, this is going to be a guard game for Tennessee. I think if you can get Santiago Vescovi going, if you can get Kennedy Chandler, keeping those turnovers down, getting into the paint, forcing Kessler to come help side, I think this is set up for them to have some success at home, but I just think Auburn's too much, man. Jabari has taken his level of play to a new level. He's playing
when they give him the ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they get in these games, they quit giving him the ball. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's wild. I think for Coach Pearl, he wants to keep it that team-oriented style, that, moving the ball around, everyone's getting touches. But look, there's no one stopping that 6'10" monster right there. He's a load, and he's gotten some scoring stretches here late in the season where he's scoring 30, 28 some of these games. I think this set up for him to do this on the road at Tennessee. I like Auburn in this one.
I like Tennessee. I like them in that building. Auburn's guards have kind of slumped a little bit lately. Green he was so good for a month there and has really not played as well recently. I love K.D. Johnson. He's a warrior, and he will be fired up to play in this game. But Tennessee in that building, and I thought that Tennessee's guards were great against Missouri. Now, most guards are great against Missouri, but Kenny Chandler's got another gear, and I like him in this game. And I like that building. That's what I like most about these two games. I like Bud Walton and the Tommy Bowl to prevail in those two games. I like Auburn and Kentucky a ton, and I think they're both 1 seeds. I don't think either one of them are winning on Saturday, but it should be an incredible day of SEC basketball. So to set that schedule again, 11 a.m. is Florida and Georgia, no good. Noon, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, no good. 1 o'clock is when the fireworks start. That's Kentucky and Arkansas on CBS. Ole Miss and A&M at 2:30 on the SEC Network. ESPN, 3 o'clock tip, Auburn at Tennessee. South Carolina is in Tuscaloosa at 5, and LSU is the nightcap. 7:30 on the SEC Network. Against Missouri. So that'll do it to set your slate for the SEC. Over the next 30 minutes, we are going to go to Baton Rouge, stay in Baton Rouge, I guess it would be, chat with Glenn West. They just visited with Will Wade. We'll see what Will Wade had to say. I saw one quote that he just gave where somebody asked about tournament positions, and he said, we got to get in the dang thing first. So that's where Will's mindset is. We'll talk to Glenn West about that coming up. And then in 15 minutes, we will chat with Mitchell Forty, who covers Missouri. How much of a hot seat is Conzo Martin on? Has Missouri quit? Any and all of that coming up at 1:30. Stick with us. It's Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill.
BrakeMedics.com. Got asked in the office a little bit earlier. Said, hey, how much does it cost to have Brake Medics come out and change your brakes? Well, I told him it's $450 for the full lot. And they can do that at your home, at your place of business. And tomorrow is Saturday. A lot of repair shops shutting it down early or not open at all. They will come to you and set appointments until 6 o'clock if you need to get on the road. Brake Medics is the most convenient, most affordable brake service in the Baton Rouge area, and they're all over our listening area. Across the river, Port Allen, Bruley, all that, all good, all the way to Hammond to the North Shore. you go to brakemedics.com and set an appointment.
Yeah, I got to just go to brakemedics.com for your free quote today. You log into their website, you put the make, year, and model of your vehicle, and whatever brake symptoms your vehicle may be dealing with at the time, they'll have all those options for you to put in right there on the website. Just put your name, email, and phone number, and brakemedics.com will get back to you with a free quote today.
They're fully insured. They give you a 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide guarantee when they come out to service your brakes. Give them a shot. Brake Medics at brakemedics.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person. Connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return. We'll preview a busy weekend at the box and LSU basketball against Mizzou. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
They've played 4.5 innings out at the box. Southern trails Towson 5-2. LSU and Towson tonight at 6:30. LSU and Missouri tomorrow on the hardwood of the PMAC, 7:30 tip-off. Glenn West covers the Tigers for LSU Country, part of the SI Network. He joins us now on the phone line. Glenn, how are you?
Hey, guys. I'm doing great. Gearing
Good.
up for a long weekend. How about you guys?
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. I got a lot going on, too. I got an anniversary dinner tonight. I got a baptism tomorrow, but I am going to get back to watch the Tigers in the thanks. Get back to watch the Tigers in the PMAC tomorrow. You just spoke with Will Wade as he met with the media. What was Coach Wade's disposition like today?
Yeah, I mean, lots of talk about finishing at the rim. You know, that was one of the big They really struggled at Kentucky. Heading into the game, they were really wanting to limit turnovers and limit rebounding and all that stuff. But they did a nice job of limiting the turnovers, but they just could not make any shots in Lexington. They missed about 7 or 8 just point blank layups that really should have been the difference in the game, and they just didn't convert. So it was a rough game for them on Wednesday. It's been one of those kind of conferences where he just didn't have a whole lot of answers. He's just been trying to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and we'll see if they can make any improvements against Missouri tomorrow.
Yeah, you stole my next question. So does he have any answers for they can't finish at the rim? Because they're awful at it, but it doesn't sound like he does. I get a lot of questions as to why they keep lobbing shots up from 3 and Days shooting 10 of them, and I kind of look at it and go, well, what are they good at? Like, what are they supposed to be doing? You have an answer for that? What should their offense center around?
Yeah, I mean, I think their offense should definitely be centered around converting at the rim. I mean, they're just too inconsistent from 3-point range to really believe that they can be a consistent perimeter threat. And the way you open up an offense is by attacking downhill, getting to the rim, kicking out to open guys, moving the ball, which I thought they did pretty well against Kentucky. They were getting open shots. They just were not falling. And, Coach Wade told us today they spent about 20 minutes yesterday on just finishing at the rim, finishing through contact, drawing fouls, that sort of thing. And it's something they've been working on really for the last several weeks in practice, and just haven't seen the results translate yet on the court yet.
I know Coach Ways can't really figure out finishing at the rim. What about some of these second half performances? Can you point to kind of why the team has kind of been telling off and teams has kind of been pulling away from them in the second half of these games?
Yeah, so I think before today there was 2 major areas of concern. That was the finishing and then also the turnovers. I mean, they were committing turnovers left and right. In the second half of these games, I think earlier this week. They committed 9 second-half turnovers in their loss on Wednesday, maybe on Saturday. I think the game before this last one. They've been turning the ball over a lot. They were missing free throws. They went 13 for 22 at the free throw line 2 games ago. Those are the kind of things that lose you games, especially down the stretch of matchups. And they were really able to turn that around. I thought against Kentucky, they only had 8 turnovers. They made most of their free throws. But they just couldn't create any offense in the second half in terms of just making shots. I think they did a nice job early in the game of attacking and creating open looks, and they were able to hit on some of those. You mentioned Darius Days. He hit a couple threes early, and then he missed his next 7. And I think that's just kind of the trend that you're seeing with this group right now. They can have moments where they show real promise on offense, and they have just these really poor stretches offensively where their defense can't hold up and kind of overcome those offensive stretches where they just can't make anything.
What should their focal point be on the offensive end? I've kind of determined that it needs to go a lot through Xavier Pinson, which is not the best option I've ever heard of, but I don't have a significantly better one. We're going to talk about Tari Eason and his effort in Lexington in a second. That may be part of your answer here, but how much needs to go through X?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to go through X, and I think a lot of it is on X to not turn the ball over. He did a nice job of that against Kentucky. He had, I think, 8 assists in that game on Wednesday and really controlled the tempo, I think, for the first 25 minutes of that game. But just coming out of the break, it was just a real struggle, I think, for everyone. I think you have to certainly find ways to get Easton involved. I mean, him picking up 5 fouls in 13 minutes, just you're not going to win many games if your best player is getting in that kind of foul trouble. And I think that was something that Coach Wade mentioned today, that we're going to need all of our guys to be in lock unison, and it's going to be imperative that they get a couple wins here down the stretch of conference play.
What did you make of Eason? I mean, I know he got in foul trouble. I didn't love his body language. I don't know if he was frustrated by Sheboy's play or the fact that he kept picking up fouls, but he just didn't look as engaged.
Yeah, he had a couple open looks, I think, early in the game, and a couple of them were blocked early. And he was, struggling to get back on defense on some of those. He was certainly kind of hanging his head a little bit, and I think he got a little frustrated with a couple of the early fouls called against him. And I think a lot of it also is just not being able to get into a rhythm. When you pick up a couple early fouls, you have to go sit on the bench, and immediately you come in and you pick up another foul, and all of a sudden you're at 3 in the first half, and you're never able to get into a rhythm when you get in foul trouble like that. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people saw that on Wednesday from him. Just I don't want to say disengaged, but just I think he let some of the early calls and some of the early struggles in the game really get to him, and you certainly need to see a little bit more out of him in terms of just being able to handle that kind of composure, I guess, moving forward.
Would you agree that if they beat Missouri tomorrow, that they're probably a lock to make the NCAA tournament? And if so, do you think the team knows that going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still in an okay position. I think obviously you have to get this win tomorrow. They're still top 20 in the net rankings. I think some of those early wins in the season, against Kentucky, against Tennessee, they're really helping LSU right now. As they kind of, I don't want to say limp to the finish line, but just kind of get to the end of the regular season here. I think, these are 2 quad one opportunities against Arkansas and Alabama next week. If you can pick up one of those, that would be great. But I don't think that if losing those 2 games necessarily takes you out of the college out of the tournament rankings. But if you lose this game against Missouri and you lose those 2 next week, I think it's a much different discussion. So this is going to be a really key game for them to win. I do think they're still in a solid position at the moment, but we've got to see this team get at least 1 or 2 more wins over the next week or so.
As most coaches do, Will's generally pretty good at finding something the other team does well and says it concerns him. I struggle to find anything on the stat sheet that Missouri does well other than beat Alabama and play Auburn close. What did he harp on today is something that he is losing sleep over?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we didn't really ask him a whole lot about Missouri. I think a lot of it was predicated on just what this team needs to do to get the win, and it was a lot of finishing at the rim stuff. He mentioned a couple of players that they'll be locking in on. I can't even recall the players he mentioned at the moment. It's only been a couple minutes since we talked to him, but I think just the biggest thing for this team is just to continue to limit the turnovers. That was something he was genuinely, I think, proud that his team was able to do, only having 8 turnovers against Kentucky. And I think if they're able to do that, hit a couple more shots, then you should be able to convincingly beat this team tomorrow.
Glenn West, SI, LSU Country. Quick on the baseball side of things. Where do you play Jacob Berry?
Oh, man, I think they're best. That is such a good question. I think honestly the best position for him is DH, and I think the best lineup is with Gio in the outfield, having maybe a rotation of Gio and Joe Bear in the outfield. But you got to see more from Jacob Berry out in the field to really make you believe that he's going to be capable of being an everyday kind of guy come SEC play. And that's just kind of where I'm at. I think they're going to go with more of a rotation here moving forward. It sounds like DiGiacomo is going to get some more opportunities, continue to show his defensive prowess, and but you can't take Joe Bear out of the lineup right now. He's playing too well.
And a ton of innings to be eaten up this weekend, and what we hope is 4 games, depending on the weather, on Sunday. Give me a pitcher or 2 that you're interested to see this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ty Floyd certainly comes to mind. I know we talked about him before the season opener. I thought he looked really good last weekend in most of his innings, and he's somebody that I'm certainly going to be looking at. Javen Coleman had a nice couple innings earlier in the midweek game. Kind of ran into some trouble in his last inning, but he's looked pretty solid overall. So I would say probably those 2 are guys that I'll be watching just to see how they rebound from last week.
Enjoy the weekend, Glenn. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Glenn West from LSU Country, part of the SI Network. That was the LSU side of things for Saturday night. Let's change gears now. Mitchell Forty covers Missouri for Rivals. We will chat with him about what has gone wrong up in Columbia. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Here, join Tommy Chrysan, Skip Bourbon, and myself for Hold the Rope with Skip and Keno this Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. when our guests will be John Brady from LSU Basketball and Ken Trahan from Crescent City Sports. Hold the Rope, Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Missouri tomorrow night, 7:30 from the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Just chatted with Glenn West on the LSU side of things after he had a press conference with Will Wade. Mitchell Flaherty joins us now from Columbia, Missouri, covers the Missouri Tigers for the Rivals Network. Mitchell, thanks for some time. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure. Obviously, Missouri comes into the SEC a decade ago with a very, very proud basketball tradition. And I guess to put it mildly, they haven't really gotten out of neutral, and to be a little bit more harsh. They've been pretty poor most of the time, and this would be one of those teams. What's the sense of frustration up there in Columbia?
Yeah, there's definitely some frustration from the fans. They had a really tough 3-year stretch with Kim Anderson as the head coach, and I think a lot of people felt like they kind of got past that with the hire of Conzo Martin. Took him to the NCAA tournament in his first year. Took a couple steps back, but then had a good season last year again. Had him in the top 10 at one point, and then it kind of fell apart and hasn't stopped falling apart since. They just have not been very good this season. Tried to completely remake the roster, and it didn't work out. And so, yeah, there's definitely a lot of frustrated fans, a lot of fans not going to games anymore this season, and it's fair to wonder what's going to happen with Conzo Martin's future. I think no one would be surprised if this does end up being his last season in Missouri.
Yeah, lost 3 of the last 4 by 19, lost 9 of 11. That's certainly got to be decision time up there in Columbia. Xavier Pinson, obviously running the show down here for LSU. Do you remember the terms or what led to his transfer out of Missouri?
Yeah, I think that relationship just kind of ran its course. I think Conzo Martin and him kind of wore on each other. I don't know if either one necessarily was at fault. If Pinson didn't want to necessarily do things the way Conzo Martin wanted them done, if Conzo felt like Pinson wasn't living up to the standards. But for whatever reason, as last season went on, Pinson's leash kind of seemed like it got shorter and shorter to the point where in the NCAA tournament game, he sat for like the last 11 minutes or something like that, and they played their backup point guard. And at that point, I think everyone knew that had kind of run its course. I also think that Pinson, I think in his mind, he was likely to leave after last season anyway, originally thinking maybe for the pros. So I don't know. Basically, I think it's just one of those things where in college athletics these days, sticking around 4 years at one place doesn't happen all that often.
I want to talk about the shooting for Missouri this season. Obviously, a team that's only shooting 27% from the three-point line. How much has the lack of shooting from the outside really hurt this basketball team this season?
Yeah, it's been a huge problem. They're the worst high major team at three-point shooting. And, I mean, lately, the last few games, it seems like a lot of opponents have done what I would do, which is dare Mizzou to shoot, and they still can't do it. I mean, they've had a lot of open looks the past few games from the perimeter, and they just haven't fallen. And that allows opponents to double-team Kobe Brown down low, not let Mizzou to get anything around the basket. And it's hard to win if you can't make three-pointers in today's college basketball game. So Mizzou has several problems, but that has been one of the most glaring for sure.
One of the talking points we've had down here is that LSU, and just about every time they go out on the floor in an SEC game, has a disadvantage on the block, and that has been certainly was the case with Osher Shibwe and Kentucky. What is Kobe Brown's strength? What kind of effort does he need to have for Missouri to come down here and find a way to win?
Yeah, he can be a tough matchup. He's 6'7", so he's a little undersized for a forward. But if you try to guard him with a guard, he is big enough to take advantage down there. And if you try to guard him with a forward, he can put the ball on the deck and beat guys off the dribble. The problem for Mizzou has been that everyone just kind of guards him with two guys, and Mizzou hasn't been able to make them pay for it because their other guys haven't been good enough. So if he can get going as a rebounder, get some easy stuff down low. Especially also, I don't know if LSU plays zone or not, but if they ever play zone, he's very good at being a zone. He'll get it, free throw line extended and make plays from there. And sometimes, if he can get going early, he'll have good games. But we've seen too many times this season where he'll get frustrated and not really be a factor. So I think the biggest thing for him is just if you match his physicality and don't let him get into a rhythm, then he's shown that sometimes he'll kind of disappear.
Walk me through the Alabama game where the Missouri just dusted them start to finish, and then the game against Auburn where they had them right there at the end. I mean, what went right for Missouri in those two games?
Yeah, the Alabama game was weird. I mean, Mizzou just played great, basically. And I think it's just proof that, college basketball, you never know what to expect game to game. Sometimes teams that have been struggling play great. Sometimes teams that are really good play poorly, which is kind of what happened in the Auburn game. But yeah, I mean, that Alabama game, Mizzou they shot the ball well. They scored over 90 points. It's the only time they've really done that this season. And also Alabama, like I mentioned, they played a zone that Mizzou just torched. And the next time they played Alabama, they didn't play a zone. No surprise. The Auburn game was just a classic letdown spot. Auburn had just gotten to number one. They had just beaten Kentucky. They came to Mizzou Arena. They didn't shoot well. They scored in the 50s. And Mizzou really had a good chance there, just kind of botched it down the stretch. But this team they played teams close a lot. They went through a stretch early in the season where they were getting blown out. been for like most of SEC play. They were right there in a lot of games and just have lost a lot of close ones. And then it seems like they've kind of ran out of gas a little bit these last few weeks when we started to see more of these 19-point losses.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. With the 19-point losses, with having lost 9 of 11, is there an effort issue, or are they just kind of out of steam and really just not all that good?
Yeah, I don't think it's effort. I've been somewhat impressed at the fact that they still have been playing hard, so there's not a lot left to play for, but they only have 8 guys available at this point. They've got a few injuries, had one guy transfer out, and they don't have any walk-ons. So it's 8 guys playing all the minutes. They had a game earlier in this season postponed for COVID that they just made up, so they just got done playing 4 games in 7 days. So I think that, the recent reversion to losing by more points is just a factor of fatigue.
We know the strength of this LSU team is their defense, and they're going to run a lot of full-court traps and a lot of half-court traps. For Missouri, who averages 14 turnovers a game, how do you think they attack that full-court pressure?
Yeah, that's going to be troublesome for Missouri, I think. They have not done very good against pressure this season. Iowa State's a team that runs a lot of pressure. Mizzou turned it over, I think, 23 times in that game. So it's been an issue all year. They're like 320-something in the nation in turnover rate. So I don't know what the answer is. Their biggest issue actually has not been the three-point shooting, which we discussed earlier. It's been the point guard play. They just don't really have a point guard on the roster, someone who can handle the ball reliably and run the offense. And that's not something you can really fix without bringing that person in, which they've tried just about everyone there. So I think that has potential to be a big issue for Mizzou.
Mitchell Forty, PowerMizzou.com, part of the Rivals Network, joining us here on a Friday afternoon. We really appreciate it, Mitchell. Have a great weekend.
Yep, thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. Just kind of a bleak picture there. I don't know that I realized they only had 8 humans available. I knew they weren't playing a lot of guys. I didn't know they didn't have any more available. That's news to me. And it just sounds like at a place that should have some high expectations for basketball. I talk all the time about knowing who you are. And how Nebraska football's kind of lost that sometimes, and how Auburn at times freaks out and makes a move that they may not need to make. Missouri should be better than this at basketball. There is not a hard ceiling on Missouri's basketball program. They can be a Sweet 16 team. They can compete at the top of the SEC, and they're simply not. And I think that this decision is fairly easy for me if I'm Missouri. I don't know what the financial implications are, but I got to move on and get somebody in there that can do a little better job than this.
Yeah, it's bad. And I think he said it best. They were ranked 10 last year, and it just kind of the bottom just kind of falls out, and then you're just getting your butts whipped. I know you played Auburn close. You got a win over Alabama, but for the most part, this SEC slate has just been brutal for this Missouri basketball program. They got to change something, and I think they do that starting with the head coach. I don't know if they do it right now, but I think definitely after this season, they probably look in another direction.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if LSU nudged them that way on Saturday, quite honestly. This is, as I see it, as good a matchup as I can find for LSU. A team that is not going to shoot it well from 3, that doesn't have point guard play to deal with the press, that doesn't have depth to deal with the press, that hasn't played great defensively. LSU should be – I can see a situation where Kobe Brown goes for 26 points and LSU gets in foul trouble and goes 2 for 26 from 3. I mean, that possibility is out there. I just don't really see it. Now, I'm very doubtful. I'll have to go pull the tape, but I'm pretty doubtful that I said before the Ole Miss game that I really thought LSU was in trouble. So it probably sounded a lot like this heading into the Ole Miss game, and that didn't go so hot. We all know. And look, Missouri sprung its upsets, but I think as you look at this and you understand when you start this 18-game stretch, for just about everybody, unless you got Calipari's Anthony Davis team or something, there's going to be one game where you show up and you can't do anything. There's going to be one game you show up where the other team is just unconscious. And like Alabama found that out, they went and played Missouri and Georgia, and all of a sudden, like he just couldn't figure it out. LSU got that taste with Ole Miss. I don't anticipate that to be the case tomorrow. I think LSU will comfortably win the game tomorrow by 15 points.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think especially at home, they already got that Ole Miss taste out of their mouth, kind of giving one up at home, and they know how important this is to win. You got 2 really, really tough games to finish this season. Got to go up to Arkansas. You got Alabama at home. This is going to be a prime spot for them to get that winning taste back in your mouth for the Tigers.
Let's have a good environment in the PMAC tomorrow. If you're you got tickets, show up. If you got them and don't want to show up, give them to somebody who will. Or if you don't have tickets and you want to show up, buy some. They're available. LSUTix.net. Let's have a good environment out in the PMAC tomorrow. 7:30 tip, LSU and Missouri. We'll take one more time out. Close up the week. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tell you about the sales side of Bayou Ford all the time. The service side, just as good down there at Bayou Ford. Yeah, they are in Laplace. It's a short drive away. You want to get an oil change and don't necessarily want to head out to Laplace, you got to get something done. Let them come to you, drop a loaner off, bring it back to Bayou Ford. They will service your car. They will get the oil change done. They'll bring your car back. You never miss any time. You can get to work. Bayou Ford does all the driving for you and gets that service done. It's all about convenience. It's all about customer service for them on Bayou Ford. You know about the sales side. We tell you about BayouFord.com, and Jeremy will as well. But the service side, just as good down there. We can sit here and blab about deals and all that kind of stuff all the time, and they've got great stuff like that as well. But the service, the convenience, it's all top-notch over there at Bayou Ford.
Yeah, amazing service, and you don't have to worry about going down to their dealership. Bayou Ford has 6 full-time drivers. Their only job is to deliver your custom vehicle right to you. All you got to do is go to BayouFord.com. They're going to do right by you.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
For a Friday edition of Early Line, as we look ahead to the weekend's action, and David Cobb of CBS Sports joins us to make some college basketball picks. Tune in from 2 to 3 p.m. Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Shout out Citizens Bank, bringing you the poll question each and every day here on Hunt and Hill. Today's is pretty simple. New Orleans Mardi Gras, overrated or underrated? Final votes are in. 60% say overrated, 40% say underrated. That is Baton Rouge talking right there, because if you were to talk about that to an uptown New Orleanser, which I know plenty of, they would tell you that you are full of it, but they will have some fun down there. Carnival season has arrived for this weekend, so if you're heading out and about, wherever you may be, have fun, be safe, don't drive. No reason to drive. We got plenty of ride services that are around. Get home very safely and have a wonderful Mardi Gras weekend. Had a good Friday show. Very much appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here on a Friday. Appreciate y'all for being in the Bayou Ford chat. Give us a like if you could. Missed anything on the show, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com or on YouTube. Open things up. Jeremy talked to the running backs with LSU and Frank Wilson. Started the show talking about that at noon. Talked about the hoops against Missouri and the baseball weekend in the first hour. Opened hour number 2 talking SEC basketball, and then had a couple of guests talking about the game coming up on Saturday night. Glenn West from the LSU side, Mitchell Forty from the Missouri side. So time now for a little bit of take it or leave it. Sir, fire away.
Let's do it. My boy Tom Brady. He's already making moves after his playing career. He's got to produce a movie, and he's got to act in it. Tom Brady becoming a Hollywood actor. Take it or leave it.
God, I'm leaving that. There's no way he's good at that. I mean, you know him. I mean, he seems incredibly dry and not all that witty and funny to me. I can't imagine he's a super good actor.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. We've seen LeBron try to do it. We've seen some other people trying to do it. But when you're in the big
Did you see the LeBron movie, the Space Jam movie?
I did not, because I just knew I couldn't take it serious. I just knew better. I saw the first Space Jam.
Of course.
It's nostalgia that gets you going, not the great acting that's taking place.
Oh, Wayne Knight, Newman. Well, there he's the agent. He's great. The Monstars. Who are the players? I'll go. It's Muggsy Bogues, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Sean Bradley, Larry Johnson.
Was it David Robinson, I thought?
No, I think it's Larry Johnson.
Maybe Larry Johnson, yeah.
I think that's the 5. Amazing. I can still come up with that. I haven't seen that movie in 25 years. Yeah, Space Jam. Not great. I don't think Tom Brady's movies are going to be very great. I will go ahead and leave that. Former Super Bowl winning quarterback Doug Williams says he's very disappointed with the current situation at Grambling, with the hiring of former Baylor coach Art Briles as the team's offensive coordinator. Grambling made the right move, bringing Art Briles back to coach college football. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna take Doug's side on this one. I think there's a lot of unsolved things that's going on as far as Art Briles go, and to bring him back to college football this soon. It's an aggressive move. It's aggressive play. I don't think there's any way he could coach at a Division I program. It's Grambling, so they're probably not getting the most eyeballs in the country right now. Probably not that big of a move. But I'm gonna have to stick with Doug on this one, man. He represents Grambling at a high level. He wants them to do things the right way. I don't know if bringing Art on was the right move for them right now. So I'm gonna take Dougie's side on that one.
Yeah, second chances are an important thing in life. This one is not really warranted and not really necessary. The HBCUs are, in my opinion, doing a great job of bringing in huge names and making waves and doing some great things. We know what Deion's doing at Jackson State. Eddie George has gotten an HBCU job, and then Hugh Jackson coming down to Grambling, I think, is a great thing. They just didn't need to do this, and I don't approve really at all with that as well. So keep on moving.
I got one more here. Okay, newly acquired next guard, Seth Curry. He says Ben Simmons does not owe an apology to 76ers fan after his departures from the franchise. With Curry saying business is business. Are you taking or leaving? Ben should apologize to Philly Nation and 76ers fans.
I mean, I'll leave it. What is an apology going to do? You think Philly's going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, he apologized. That's great. I mean, it's the most ruthless city in all of sports. I still don't understand this NBA thing where you just don't play and you don't feel like it, or you got to go to another team. That's bizarre to me, and I realize that in the workforce, far more often than not, you can move to job. There are certainly non-competes that apply, and maybe you can apply that to this as team to team. It just seems like to me it'd be an easy thing to work hard, go to practice, game plan, and play hard for your team and your teammates. It just doesn't seem that difficult to me, but it seems like a lot of players these days don't seem that way. They just seem like, hey, I got to play for them or I'm not playing. I'll just sit here. And I don't know every single situation with Ben Simmons, but I know what he did here. And I know what his attitude was like here. And when he's not happy, he's not happy. And so I think that's very likely what happened in Philly. And he's out of there, so hopefully he plays now. But I just don't understand that situation at all.
Yeah, I think that's the exact thing I kind of talked to the running backs about. Just if you're not happy in your situation, everything's not great. You're not the guy. I'm not the superstar guy. They're not building around me, or whatever scenario you want to put. If you just go out there and work, just work your tail off, work on your game, get better. For Ben especially, how about work on a free throw, work on a jump shot, do things to get yourself better. And things normally start going the other way, but I think that's just kind of sweeping the nation right now. Things don't go my way, throw my temper tantrum, and I just don't have to do anything. But it's crazy to say that that's become acceptable, especially at the NBA level. It's crazy to me. Like, you get paid millions of dollars to play basketball. It's not the most daunting, most crazy thing to do. But I guess, if you're not happy, guys are not happy, and that's how they're going to play it.
Joel Embiid says his new teammate, James Harden, totally different from the reports that are out there, said he's great to be around as a teammate. Embiid and Harden, they're going to get the Sixers to the NBA Finals this year. Take that or leave it.
I'm going to leave that. I think I've seen Harden, especially in late in the season, especially in playoffs. I know this is probably his best teammate he's ever had so far in his career, but he fizzles out for some reason.
Durant guy was pretty good.
Yeah, Durant. But, they only played in 16 games together, and then Harden ended up getting hurt again like he normally does in the postseason. Just that playing style, dribbling the life out of basketball takes a lot out of you. I know he's going to have Embiid right now, but I think the East is just too stacked right now. I'm going to go with the Nets coming out the East, baby. My boy KD. So, no, not this year Embiid and Harden. I got some other teams doing that.
I got baseball tickets. I got T-shirts. I got gift cards. All that at the Rouses at Burbank and Lee between 3 and 5 today. Come on by. Rouses at Burbank and Lee. See me. I will have some goodies to give away for you for this weekend as we get on down the road. That's going to do it for us here on a Friday edition of Hunt and Hill. Again, be safe out there this weekend. Have a lot of fun. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home today on After Further Review from 3 to 6. And you already know it. Your early line is coming up next with Mario and Musso. That is Jeremy Hill. I'm Hunt Palmer. Thanks so much to Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp for all their hard work today and every day. Have a great Mardi Gras weekend. Come out to Rouse's and see me. 3 to